Hello, my name is Sean Mitchell, and I am one of the newest members of Post 8951 here in York, Pennsylvania. And what I want to talk about for a few minutes are some of the major technological considerations for this post in particular, but this can be applied to multiple posts as well. So as I was in the process of joining, Commander Albert said to me on the phone, we need more youth here, and we need more youth involvement. Now, I work for the Navy as a quasi-engineer, I like to say. I do look at some drawings. I'm not a fully trained engineer, but I ask a lot of questions. So my question was simply this: why are there no youth? So I took a few weeks and I started to do some research on the problem of the VFW and the lack of youth involvement. And what we have are three broad problems. Number one is environmental. What I have seen online typically says people are typically saying it's a smoke-filled environment. Then next up, we have a generational difference. It's a smoke-filled environment filled with nothing but old men telling war stories. And then last but not least, there are technological considerations, but of course, I will delve into that more in depth later on. But what we have as a result is this. As you see from the quote on the bottom from Philly.com, the VFW has been in decline due to an aging population. There have been more than 3,000 posts lost and a drop in membership by 700,000 people. And that's from Randy Law, who's a spokesman at national headquarters in Kansas City, Missouri. And I believe it is safe to say we're going to see much more in terms of closure, and we're probably not going to see more posts being open as a result. Excuse me. As a result, though, what we have is a VFW age distribution. The current status, this is essentially an old organization. Okay. Now, the past status slash what we want to work for as a future goal is you want to have many more people that are young involved, and then the older population be the minority. But unfortunately, as you can see, the picture shows that things are flipped right now. And then according to the Patriot Ledger, the average VFW member age is approximately 68 years old. And that means the Vietnam era guys are the ones who comprise the majority of the population. Now, we have a veteran distribution. Here is what we are looking at in terms of overall numbers. What we have with the Gulf War are 7.3 million individuals. They should be the ones, those who are in the 50-year-old range roughly, that should be the overwhelming majority of the membership. However, it's not. I've seen some other stories that simply said World War II guys basically crapped on the Vietnam guys and said, hey, you are the first ones to lose a war. And then as the World War II guys started to decline, the Vietnam guys took over and they kind of circled the wagons. And then what we had was a redress of that wrong for the next generation. The Gulf War guys, they were very highly celebrated with what they did with such a decisive victory in the course of, I believe it was roughly 100 hours for that war to actually occur. Excuse me. What we have is the Gulf War guys not really joining. The Vietnam guys are in the lead with 6.7 million, and obviously the average age of 68, they are starting to die out. Now the problem has been exacerbated starting back in the 1990s, end of the Cold War, and the restructuring of our military. It became a lot smaller. So what we have in terms of the Iraq, Afghanistan individuals are 2.8 million individuals who are eligible to join the VFW. And then obviously the Korea, World War II folks, they're dying out at roughly over 1,000 a day, I believe the number is. Now, excuse me, in the state of Pennsylvania, we are not in a bad position. The graphic here is from veteransaffairs.gov. 2017, Pennsylvania is in fourth place. However, the problem is going to be getting worse over the next 20 years. Pennsylvania is going to slip from fourth place on down to eighth place. Rationale behind that, as you can see with the graphic, 50% of veterans they're starting to move towards the west and south. Again, they want to move towards a sunnier climate, warmer climate, etc. But again, Pennsylvania is not in a bad stead as it stands right now. Now, when we look at York County numbers overall, excuse me, focusing on the black bar right above that total number of veterans. 40,836 veterans spread across 72 different municipalities, being the 72 boroughs, townships, and the city of York. We have an average of 567 vets per municipality. Now, that said, obviously not all these individuals are going to be eligible for the VFW, but what we can extrapolate is this. York County VFWs in District 21, there are 12 individual posts within the county. What would this individual post look like with 34 additional members? And I'm focusing in on the first green bar, number in parentheses. What would the York County VFWs look like with an additional 408 members across the board? 5% eligibility. Let's say this post adds 170 people, or just over 2,000 for all of York County. Excuse me. So on and so forth. What would the health look like overall for the foreseeable future if you could get all these people to start joining? Okay? Those numbers are from the Census Bureau, and then below that, the quote from the Washington Times. There is a further disconnect, and this kind of goes into the generational things, I believe, as well. VFW and the American Legion, again, make up the largest portion of the membership. 15% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who are eligible to join the VFW have done so, and against the Washington Times. So again, environmental, generational, technological, three-pronged problem, and then of course we have the perspective that the military restructure itself. So the VFW could be in for some difficult times in the near future as a whole. So when we look at the technological considerations, excuse me, number one is connecting, website, social media, and then I want to talk about a mobile app for just a few moments. So the first thing is the Wi-Fi in here is pretty spotty. Wi-Fi has become across the board basically standard fare for any place that goes, for anybody that goes to eat somewhere. Now, I know that unlimited data plans are starting to come back to the forefront, but not everybody has that unlimited data plan. Excuse me. So one of the unintended consequences of having that Wi-Fi in the building, start encouraging people to just start posting images, showing people having a great time, this, that, and the other, when they are within the mobile in the post. Now, when it comes to the various website difficulties, number one, what I have seen in the past prior to taking over, and I'll explain things here in a moment, the site was unavailable. It was unavailable twice in the course of like 2 weeks. Number two, the website was not mobile responsive. That simply means when I look at it on my computer and I look at it on my smart device, it appears to be the exact same thing. Next up, there was dated material, and then there are broken links involved as well. So this is what the old website looked like. And as you can see, there are four basic tabs across the top, aside from the home, from the About Us, and the black bar, About Us through the Post News. Below that, with the welcome, just gives a general message. And then sharing this page, it basically led to one or two of those links were broken. Okay? Now, what I've already gone ahead and done is I've already gone ahead and redesigned the web page. And as you can see, the VFW post, we have a parsing of the national mission down to the local level, the About Us page, and then on the right-hand side, we have the various categories. And then the bottom middle, there's a picture halfway cut off, but there's a few pictures that scroll through on a regular basis. Next up, when it comes to mobile responsiveness, this is what the website will look like. On an iPhone, the black bar is now at the top, and then you can just scroll through down the page. iPad Pro, obviously a bigger screen, and you can see the website has basically reformatted itself to display the best way possible on it, whatever the device may be. And then what I want to talk about for a few moments is the social media aspect. Excuse me. Number one, pretty much everybody has a Facebook page in some way, shape, or form nowadays. Now, what I can say is the unofficial, the link at the top on the right-hand side, that just over 2,000 people have checked in, that is not officially associated with this place. And then I talked to some of the folks. It actually has a citizen's number, so it doesn't. The phone number does not even connect to here. The actual VFW post page is down below that. Only 200 some people have liked that. So what we want to do is try and get the two merged back together. So that way the actual post can actually have ownership and all the information is correct. And then along with that, when it comes to Facebook, there's essentially at times nothing more than a posting of what's available on the food menu. Okay? Think of it from the shopping approach. How often do you go to a specialty store by, say, going to your local Walmart? Okay? If you want to get one thing in particular, you go to that specialty store. If you just want to do general running around, the chances are much greater that you're going to go to Walmart. So I'm going to suggest a Walmart approach to things, posting any and everything about the post there, so that way the people know it's not just about food, but again, it fits in with the national mission of service for the community as well. Okay. So with that in mind, I want to flip the script and focus in on mobile for a few moments. Excuse me. Now, when it comes to U.S. mobile statistics, these numbers are slightly older, but it is pretty telling. Between the Apple platform and then all the other, the Android platform and all those various smartphone makers, they comprise 96.6% of all mobile devices. And the software I utilize will make a native app for both of those platforms. Anybody that has a Windows or a BlackBerry phone, they are not left out. There is going to be some slightly diminished functionality. It'll run what is called a web app, which means it will run, excuse me, the VFW Post 8951 mobile app software in that device's internet browser. So one thing in terms of lost functionality is the ability of receiving push notifications slash text messaging. So with that in mind, with the Post app, with what I've done, I've integrated material, just working our way counterclockwise on the graphic, the Post website, the national VFW website, the state level website, Facebook, podcast. And if you aren't familiar with what a podcast is, it's essentially listening to a radio program over the internet, okay? And then various things for the military branches, the website, excuse me, the social media, a news feed, and then when we go up to District 21, it's a post locator. So again, we are here in York, Pennsylvania, and let's say you want to go out to Gettysburg for the day, keeping the dollars within the local VFW. You can navigate from within the app itself to the Gettysburg Post. And then along with that, the Veterans Crisis Line, because way too many veterans are killing themselves, and if this app can help stop one suicide by getting somebody in contact immediately with someone, I believe this app is well served in and of itself. Okay. So with that, some of the major benefits for the Post. This is going to be the preferred way that you consume their media. A lot of folks, and I know I'm getting ready to push 40, but I still consider myself semi-young. I have that smart device on me pretty much at all times, and this is how I connect to the world on a regular basis. Then you can also simplify the communication aspect by having a mobile app. Putting things in Facebook, you can do that, but let's say we have inclement weather because it is February. Looking outside right now, there's still snow on the ground from the last snowstorm that we had. Sending out a push notification, it tells everybody that the post is closed. They don't even have to check the Facebook page. So you're making things a little bit more convenient for everyone as well. And that is a way to connect the future with the present and the past. So let's just say, excuse me, we have some of you older guys record your story and talk about your experience. When you guys pass off the scene, you guys will live on digitally, so to speak. And what we can do is have future members listen to those that came before them here at this individual post. Okay? And then with some of the major prospective / member benefits, definitely help keep things up to date, give much more timely information, and then there's a way to link resources. Within the mobile app itself, I believe there are just over 50 different links within. It took me a couple hours to do so, to put everything together in terms of linking. Excuse me. And by having that mobile app, you just tap the screen a couple times, you're taken right to the appropriate resource you want to take a look at. Okay? So with that in mind, here are just some of the app screenshots as it stands right now. Left-hand side, that is the main landing page. The About Us page is in the middle, and then you can make phone calls, navigate to the app, to the post, sorry about that. And on the right-hand side, that is a link for the various military branches. It's a folder, so then each one will have various tidbits of information contained within. So with that in mind, for the web app demonstration, here's what you're looking at. Type in that tiny URL. It'll take you to what's called the web app version, or if you have a QR code scanner on your device, you can scan it, and it'll take you right there as well. Okay. So with that in mind, I went and took a look in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, or VFW. At the national level, the VFW has an app for both of the major platforms, and then Apple has the magazine and then the mobile recruiter. So if you have a Google device, an Android-based device, excuse me, you're basically left out. District 17 out in California, they have an app. Spring Grove, which is just to the west of us, they have one as well. And Westchester, there's 3 posts you can see in Westchester, Downingtown, and Kennett Square over in Chester County. They only have an app on one of the 2 platforms. So again, we get that app done. This post will be the second post in existence to have an app on both of the platforms. And I've taken a look at 5265, and again, we like to compete with services, human nature, etc. I put a lot more stuff in it compared to them, but again, it's good with what they have. But again, I wanted to make things a little bit more robust, so to speak. So with that, and in terms of the creating of the app and maintaining the app, obviously you have to have a computer. Obviously I got that. I'm taking care of that. A smartphone. Again, connecting the past with the present. Let's say that we sit down, just point the smartphone at you, you just start talking, and we throw that video up on the internet. You can just start talking, and then people know about you as an individual and about you and your time in the service. Excuse me. A way to capture images and obviously internet access. Both things have to be contained, on a computer. So with that in mind, kind of helping to redress the technological considerations, future capability can look to get some online ordering done with food, a discount program. If you are 81 years of age or above, you get a free lifetime membership here. So let's say 81 years and above, you come in, maybe not a free meal, but let's just say you get $10 off or whatever, 10% off, whatever it may be. You can do that. And then a loyalty card, which basically, let's say, come in, spend $20 on 10 different meals, you get the 11th meal at like half price. It's something that can be used again to just encourage people to just come on out. So with that, if you have any major questions, my email address is info@mobile@makerpro.com. And with that, the next step is simply getting the app done. It's already ready to go on Google. Apple have to jump through a few hoops, but